Hi everyone, Christina here. Welcome to another card video at my YouTube channel and blog. Today I'm going to be using the brand new stamp set from Lawn Fawn that's part of the STAMPtember celebration at Simon Says Stamp. Simon has collaborated with a bunch of different stamp companies, and all of the stamp sets that come out in STAMPtember are limited editions. So I'm going to try to use quite a few throughout this month and give you some inspiration on things you can do with it. I'm also going to be using the plain and simple stamp set. This is one from Lawn Fawn that came out a little bit ago, and I'm just combining one of the greetings from the Like No Otter stamp set with a greeting from the plain and simple stamp set. And the greeting in the otter stamp set has kind of like a wavy pattern to it. I think it's done like that so it looks like it's in water. And I wanted the greeting from the plain and simple to have that same kind of wave pattern. So I put down a transparency grid sheet and I can kind of form that stamp to the way I want it to go, and it'll stick to the transparency, and that way I can manipulate the greeting into kind of a more curved shape. I'm also using a heart die from Simon Says Stamp. This is from their Nested Hearts die set, and I'm going to be creating a mask out of that later, but I did want to have that kind of in this design so I knew exactly where to stamp the otters. So I'm going to go ahead and swing the door of the Misty over, and it's going to pick up the three stamps, the otters and the two greetings, and it also picks up that transparency grid that I can just pull off. So I'm going to ink up just the otters. I'm not stamping the greetings right now. I'm just inking up the otters in some Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. This is a great black ink if you're going to be using Copic markers. And I plan to color the otters with some Copic markers later on in the card creation. So I kind of planned ahead in my head a little bit and knew that I would need to use this ink. So I've stamped this twice. I'm glad I used my Misty tool for this in particular because that one corner of the otter I didn't press down enough. So I was able to put that piece of cardstock back into the corner and then re-stamp that, and I got a really good impression. Now I'm going to take some masking paper. This is masking paper from Simon, and I'm going to cut it to a smaller piece so that I can run it through my die cutting machine. So I'll just put that through my Big Shot, and then now I have this masking paper that's a heart window. I'm going to use the outer shape, and I kind of just place that on top. I didn't stick it down, I just placed it on top around those otters, and then I puzzle pieced the sticky heart mask over top. So now I'm going to do some blending, and I'm using 4 different colors of distress inks. This first color is Temple Glass, and I'm going to speed this up really fast like I usually do because blending is a little bit time consuming. I wish I could blend this fast, but I can't. It's totally impossible to blend this fast. So after the Temple Glass, I moved on to Chipped Sapphire, and I brought the Chipped Sapphire in from the outer edges. I also protected my fingers from getting any ink on them by using some post-it tape. I just stuck that to my fingers. I then took some peacock feathers and brought that in all around the blue, and I wanted it to kind of bridge the gap between the chipped sapphire and the tumbled glass. And it's totally okay if this looks a little bit patchy and not the best blending job, because I'm going to be doing some sprinkling of water on top and adding some kind of water details, and it's going to look even more kind of cool looking at the end. So I ended with some black soot all the way around the edges, and then I sprayed some water into the palm of my hand and then sprinkled that on top. And I don't want too many droplets, I want just a few. And I'm also going to grab a paper towel. I'm going to sop up some of the water that's on my cardstock here. And by the way, this is some Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock. If you wanted to do this on watercolor paper, you definitely could, but I knew that because I was going to be coloring with Copics, I wanted to use a Copic-friendly paper. And watercolor paper, you can use Copics on it, but it really soaks up a lot of ink, and I didn't want to kind of waste all of that expensive Copic ink on watercolor paper. So I just hit that with my heat tool to speed up the drying process, and then now I've taken it back to my Misty tool. Remember those 2 gratings? They're still there, and I'm going to actually slide this piece over a little bit because I realized I didn't have them placed exactly where I wanted them. So I'm going to slide them over and keep that in place with the magnet. And then I'm going to really coat this whole area with quite a bit of powder tool. This is the EK Success powder tool, and it's an anti-static powder, basically like a baby powder, and it kind of prevents any embossing powder that I'm going to be sprinkling on in a minute from sticking in areas where I don't want it to. So it gives a nice dry surface. So I inked up my stamps with some Versamark ink, which is a very sticky ink, and I stamped that down. I'm going to stamp this twice just to make sure I have a really good impression, because it's hard to see on top because it is a clear ink. Press that down. And now I'm going to take some Hero Arts white embossing pattern. I'm sprinkling that over the top, and it worked out beautifully. Everything was really, really dry. I didn't have any stray embossing powder kind of sticking to areas where it wasn't stamped. Used my heat tool to heat that embossing powder until it was smooth and melted. And then I moved on to the Copic Coloring. So I'm going to do really simple coloring, kind of like brush strokes to have more of a fur texture. And I'm going to speed up the video just so it's a little bit quicker. And I'll turn on some music as well. Hope you guys enjoy the coloring. You can see the colors of the markers on screen. I'll just place the caps next to my project.
In the cold kitchen light, we both look for a sign, and you say, these are troubles of mine. Weary thoughts of breaking up, coming under your skin. Don't know if we should stop or begin. 'Cause I was there by your side, with my eyes open wide, and I know that will always be true. There were no reasons why. Guess all beauty must die. We try hard, but we also oh, so reckless, so reckless. It took time to recognize we are all filled with pride. I'm a wreck when I'm not by your side. Yes, I know that I have to agree. There is no one as reckless as me. And now that you are in me, and there's no way without, cannot function with this power out. There were no reasons why. Guess our beauty must die. We try hard, but we also oh, so reckless, so reckless, so reckless, so reckless. 'Cause I was there by your side, with my eyes open wide, and I know that will.
After all the Copic coloring was done, I moved on to the card base. I'm using some Nina Desert Storm cardstock for this, and I'm scoring it at 5.5 to create a top folding card. Now this card base color won't show from the front of the card, but I thought the brown of the cardstock on the inside of the card would mimic the brown on the otters. I thought that was just kind of a fun little touch. I used some Tombow Extreme adhesive to put some adhesive on the back of that piece, and then I pressed it down onto the card front. And it wasn't a perfect fit. My piece was just a tiny bit smaller, so then I folded the card and put that in my tonic guillotine cutter. And this cutter is a champ. It cut through all of those layers of cardstock without a problem. So now I'm going to use my mini hearts dies from Simon Says Stamper. I'm actually not going to use the dies today because I have all of these pre-cut, and it's just out of various types of white cardstock. So I grabbed a heart, and then I used a red Copic marker. This is an R46. And then I'm taking some Ranger Glossy Accents and adding that to the heart. And then I decided to add some kind of water droplets all over this piece here, just in the darker blue area around the heart mask. This just gives the entire card a little bit something extra and a little bit of texture, and you'll be able to see that once I kind of hold it up and tip it in the light. So like I said before, this stamp set from Lawn Fawn is a limited edition stamp set. Once it's sold out forever, and Lawn Fawn is kind of infamous for their STAMPtember stamp set selling out quickly. So if you want to get this adorable stamp set, make sure you head over to Simon Says Stamp as soon as you can. I'll have links to this stamp set down in the supplies section in the video description or in the supplies over at my blog. Thanks for watching today, and I'll catch you guys in another video very soon.